Hello everyone. I'm Yumi from the American Democracy Channel. We are working from Florida to protect the freedom and rights of the United States. We look forward to your support. I would be very happy if you could subscribe to the channel. In Florida, it's Tuesday morning, January 12th. Finally, even the Parler, which was the last SNS fort, could not continue the service. As you probably already know, I was using Amazon's web hosting service AWS, and the reason was that the service was stopped. Just because Amazon's AWS is no longer available means that you have to shut down the service for a week, but I'm not sure why it takes so long to recover. Mr. J, please explain the area in an easy-to-understand manner.
Yes, I understand. Until a generation ago, in order to provide such SNS services, we had to build our own data center, set up our own server in it, and install applications in it. With this method, everything is your own, so no one will interfere. However, since it is our own data center, we had to secure a building, install a server to install an uninterruptible system and apps, and a considerable amount of preparation costs. On top of that, there is a considerable labor cost for maintenance costs, server maintenance personnel, and updating OS operating systems such as Windows, which is the basis of applications. Web computing services take care of all of these services and provide them all. With this, you don't have to prepare anything yourself, and when you sign up for the service, you can immediately install your own software and start the service. There is no building maintenance cost or labor cost to maintain the server. It is very convenient because it can be used immediately, and the cost performance is quite good, so now all SNSs use this web hosting service.
That's right. According to the Parler, they are using about 500 hosting servers, but couldn't they ask some other vendor for these?
Maybe they can use the hardware from other vendors, but they have to install the app on that server, see if it works, and have a backup. It is necessary to carry out the test including that area. Therefore, it will take at least 1 week.
This time, Facebook, Twitter, etc., which provide apps for general users, took measures to suspend the account of a specific user. I think that it is a reason that is convenient for them, but such measures is exactly what the Chinese Communist Party is doing to its own people. I can't believe that happened in America, where there is freedom of speech in this democracy. What do the people think?
According to mass media reports, the riots at the Capitol were all reported to have been instigated by Mr. Trump. They introduce Mr. Trump as a rebel because such rebellion for the nation should never be tolerated. In order to stop the instigation of the rebels, he will not be able to make calls, which is the obvious reason for the account suspension and service suspension by Big Tech this time. The general public, who do not snoop too much, still take mass media reports as true. To add to this, a television news program was interviewed as a party to the riots of Democrats, where Trump's work should never forgive them. It was also played on the program. Also, even some White House aides mention that Mr. Trump will be held civilly liable. ABC News in the mass media even reports that Mr. Trump will take these responsibilities and resign before the 20th day of the new president's inauguration.
The power of the mass media is strong. Looking at this series of information manipulation, it is really the same as what the Chinese Communist Party is doing in China and Hong Kong. I never expected to see such communist language control in this democratic nation singing freedom. It seems that most of the country's representatives, big tech, and the mass media, want America to become a socialist nation. Perhaps they will be on the side of the socialist state, so they think it's okay if the system changes. I think this is a really serious problem for the general public to work, but what do other people think?
I agree. The mass media does not cover Mr. Trump's story, so I have no choice but to get information from SNS etc. about what you think, but Twitter and Facebook openly limit the information. Earlier, the announcement from Facebook means that if there is a word, "stolen the election," in the post so far by the 20th, that post will be deleted.
This is completely information control, isn't it? I cannot believe it. Can Republican lawmakers do nothing for the people? By the way, is there any information as the voice of the people?
A company called National Poll, which collects various statistics, got the statistics that it is doing now. It's still in the early stages, but I would like to introduce it. In this statistic, is Biden the legally elected president? Yes or no answer to the question. There are answers so far, but as you can see, the percentage of people who answered no in red is 95%. In short, most people recognize that Biden is not chosen correctly.
I was relieved that the people were decent. By the way, at this joint session on the 6th, rumors say that it was completely organized. Do you know anything?
Yes, the conservative National File reports that Pence, McCarthy, Pelosi, and McConnell had a 2-hour secret meeting on January 4. According to the report, the four people made a closed-door deal on how to proceed with the meeting to nullify Trump's challenge. According to the article, it seems that they aimed to change the law so that he could not file an objection, but since they did not reach an agreement, they agreed that if an objection was filed, they would take it to a member of the Diet. Of course, there is no doubt that McConnell worked to prevent the senators from voting in favor of the objection.
The fact that the Vice President and the Secretary of the Senate were involved in this plan is that the Republican Party is really rotten. By the way, what is Mr. Trump trying to do? Do you have any information?
Yes, the young Republican hope and most influential Congressman Matt Gaetz spoke with President Trump on Sunday. According to the Epoch Times, he spoke to Mr. Trump on Sunday and told him he wouldn't resign or take a step off the front stage.
That's a reliable message. But is it okay to leave the media and these big techs apart as they are?
That's right. Natural News says the Insurrection Act has been invoked. I'm just saying that the military general who does it doesn't move. They want a reward, which also requires payment in Bitcoin. They also want to go to war with China. It seems that now is an opportunity because it will be untouched in the near future unless we put a stop to further military power and power expansion. This may be related to Secretary of State Pompeo's remarks to revise the policy of making Taiwan one of China and to recognize it as another country. With this, if China gets angry and starts a war, it will be a pot for the military.
I agree, but I don't think China will invade Taiwan so easily. But I know the United States is in turmoil, and Biden is almost certain to become president, so maybe it might work. I'm curious about the news that he is not in control of the military generals. As long as they don't move, I don't think anything will happen no matter how much the rebellion is triggered. I just hope it isn't. Today is up to here. Mr. Trump will surely move the army. Please subscribe to our channel and stay tuned for updates. Thank you very much for watching until the end. Goodbye until the next video.